fresh off the heels of Trump's controversy involving a supporter who accused our president of being Muslim. Ben Carson is now taking heat for this comment regarding Muslims and the presidency.
Should a president's faith matter? Should your faith matter to voters?
Well, I guess it depends on what that faith is. If it's inconsistent with the values and principles of America, then of course it should matter. But if it fits within the realm of America and consistent with the Constitution, no problem.
So do you believe that Islam is consistent with the Constitution?
No, I don't. I do not. I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
Sweet Ben. In an interview with The Hill, Carson stood by that comment, saying he thinks an American president should be sworn in on a stack of Bibles and not on a Koran. Some of his Republican opponents are slamming him for his remarks.
You know, the Constitution specifies there shall be no religious test for public office, and I'm a constitutionalist.
I think this shows that Dr. Carson's not ready to be commander-in-chief. America is an idea not owned by a particular religion, race, or anything else. Out of many comes one.
All right, a lot of mix across the board, but Ben is just kind of a sweet guy who tells the truth as he sees it. He's not the kind of guy who's going to say, well, maybe it's not a good idea if I say exactly what I think about this.
He's not the kind of guy that reads the Constitution of the United States, Article 6,
My point is, this is what he believes.
The Bill of Rights.
This is what he believes. So he's not lying about it.
Then he can't take the oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So
he can't be president. I mean, it is preposterous.
Well, I don't see why he can't be president.
No, a guy could run as a vegan.
How dare that? No.
I could pick your religion. The founders of our republic specifically said there will be no litmus test based on religion.
Right.
You can have the second part of his statement that he wouldn't advocate a Muslim being president.
Right.
But to say that a Muslim couldn't be president because it's inconsistent with the
making a statement of
wrong.
constitutional fact would be a problem for this neurosurgeon. However, he's saying what he actually believes in good faith. That's what I'm saying. He's not like lying because his campaign told him, dude, don't say that.
Well, it's a rookie mistake.
And a mistake it probably was, Geraldo, and give him credit for that. Look, he stepped up and said exactly what he felt about not being able to advocate a Muslim as president. And I think there are a lot of people who are out there who heard that and said, you know what, I couldn't either. His mistake was that he quoted the Constitution, or Chuck Todd led him into the constitutionality of the idea, and he did. He blundered that, and he could fix that very easily, saying, I didn't really understand the question or the Article 6 of the Constitution. That aside, he could still come back with the original part of his idea was that because in Islam, Sharia law supersedes governing law. And unless you're willing to denounce Sharia law as the governing law over yourself and anyone you oversee, I wouldn't vote for a Muslim either. If there was a Muslim who I loved as a president and he wasn't willing to denounce the fact that Sharia law supersedes the Constitution, you got to say the Constitution's over the Sharia law.
You wouldn't vote for a Muslim? Would you vote for a Jew?
You didn't hear what I said.
Irrelevant.
If the Muslim was not willing to say that the Constitution supersedes Sharia law, then I couldn't vote for the man either, or the woman.
Nor would I.
Right, and there's plenty of people who made the point. There are many law-abiding, Muslims that say, no problem, we don't believe in Sharia law. They're against the Islamic fundamentalists and the terrorists, so, no problem.
But that's the basis of Islam, is it not? Am I wrong? Isn't that the basis of Islam? That Sharia law is your governing law no matter what?
I don't know. All I know is there's a lot of crazy orthodox in every religion, and they all make me nervous when they get too far out and make it all about something else.
Dana, was this a fair question?
That's what I actually wanted to talk about. I think the media is going to ask whatever questions they want. I'd be curious if they would ever ask that question of Hillary Clinton. I doubt it. They've got plenty of other things to ask her about as well. But this is something that if I were any of the candidates and was asked this question, I think I would have said, objection. It's irrelevant. There is no Muslim that is running for president in 2016. I'm running for president for 2016. You want to hear about my platform for taxes, energy, education, whatever it is? I'm not going to comment about a Muslim becoming president in 2016 because there are no Muslims running as president. And I think that these candidates have to figure out a way to flip things around. Like when they're asked about the refugee crisis, they need to point right back to the fundamental problem of what happened in the Obama-Clinton White House and State Department 4 years ago and how we got to this point. Instead of always just answering what they would do today, they have to talk about their worldview writ large. And I think on this one in particular, there's a reason that in media training you teach people not to answer a hypothetical question because it's irrelevant.
They were just going to capture that little lesson plan right there from you.
But that'll be
Can I actually weigh in on this?
Yeah, you can. I was going to give you a SOT all for yourself and let you...
No, I'd rather talk about Ben Carson because I want to talk about where this anxiety is coming from.
Okay.
There's a skepticism in this country about assimilation, which may be founded or unfounded. But the fact is there is a skepticism about how certain cultures are being assimilated. And so we start talking about Sharia law, which is highly unrealistic, but people feel that way. Then we have this threat assessment of a religion that we believe has not addressed accurately or adequately their own extremist element. That bothers us too. You put those two together, you have people that are understandably concerned. It's a two birds that could be killed with one stone, with Muslims openly mocking their extremists. But Carson, this is in his defense, did not spend his life in media training. He spent his life operating on babies.
Saving lives.
He spent his life doing things and not saying things. And if you had a choice, if you were trapped on a deserted island between an enlightened progressive who believes all religions are equal and wonderful and everything's wonderful, or a team sport Christian who could set a broken limb and cure a disease while you're there, you're going to pick that guy. You're going to pick practicality over progressivism. Having said that, though, you need criticism. Criticism is your guardrail. Somebody's got to be there to say, hey, don't say those things. Don't indulge the conservatives who forward emails of Obama in a caftan.
You give him too much credit. Rookie mistake, just like Trump's not handling that troll who questioned him up in New Hampshire. These are rookie mistakes.
That was a setup.
This is what happens when you have amateurs.
You know that was a setup.
Or you can, as Greg points out, who would you rather have? Someone who spent his life in politics not making rookie mistakes, or someone who spent their life either a pediatric neurosurgeon or a business titan, not worrying about what he says on both of those.
Well, and
both of those
speaking of which, let me get this in, Geraldo, and I'll get you to respond. Speaking of the front runner, here's his response to Carson's comments.
I have friends that are Muslims. They're great people, amazing people. And most Muslims, like most everything, I mean, these are fabulous people. But we certainly do have a problem. I mean, you have a problem throughout the world.
What's the problem?
Well, you have radicals that are doing things. I mean, it wasn't people from Sweden that blew up the World Trade Center, Jake.
Okay, good answer.
We don't know that for sure.
It's a fine answer as far as it goes. But when I'm going back to the founding documents, and people on the right like to invoke the Constitution. So you have the Declaration of Independence. The signers, as I recall, to the Declaration of Independence were all Protestants, save one Catholic. Mm-hmm. So you had one Catholic, and still, when they came to write the Constitution a couple of years later, they recognized that that the state could not impose religion, that you could be any religion you wanted to be. That's the very concept of America. If you can't articulate that, then you're not fit to be president. I'm very sorry.
Okay. Bolling, good response.
For Trump, or are we still back on Ben Carson?
I was Carson.
Yeah, you went back on Ben Carson. Look, Carson said what he thought. That's all there's to it. He misread the Constitution, misunderstood it. He can fix that. Trump, again, why is Trump answering what Ben Carson... The easy answer for Trump is, I don't know, you'd have to ask him about that.
Good. I agree.
Both of them could go like this. But there is, the reason that we're actually spending 5 days on this is because Trump didn't deal with it on that night in New Hampshire. Whether it was a plant, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was, or it was a prank of some sort, but there is an element that believes what the guy said. And so you could either stop it then or spend the next 5 days, because you know that the media would much rather talk about that than your tax plan.
And he points out, does he have the obligation, moral or other, to refute every nasty comment that he hears on the campaign trail about President
By the way, he's also saying that he doesn't necessarily think it was a plant because he said the guy had a beautiful Trump shirt on.
Or anyone for that matter. If Jeb Bush gets asked the same question or gets harassed in the same way, or anyone else, do they have the obligation to stop? It just doesn't seem like they do.
Do they?
I guess there is, in a way, it has to be a judgment call, right? If you think about a couple weeks ago when we were showing Black Lives Matter interrupting Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and even Martin O'Malley when they were out, you have to deal and have to be able to deal with your fringe. And look, they're the ones that know better than anybody that you're always on camera and the social media is going to drive it. So you can decide not to deal with it then, but I think what this shows is that you have to deal with it later.
Yeah, does that show that he should have handled it then, regardless of whether or not it was a prank?
I don't know, because what we're seeing is not politics. We're seeing punditry. This is the first campaign in history where you have candidates running as if they're panelists on the Five. The stuff that Trump has said and the stuff that Ben Carson has said has been said at this table a number of times, from me and from Beckel, when Beckel used to talk about China all the time. Remember that?
Yep.
I mean, a lot of this stuff comes from watching us. So it's kind of new.
This is the source?
Yes, but there's a difference. There's
I gotta
a difference,
go.
Kimberly. We're not running for president. I don't take myself seriously.
You kind of.
I don't take you seriously
either. But the other thing, too, is what's underneath this, too, in a way, is religion is a team sport, and it's bad for me because I don't have a team. I mean, I will never be in the White House. I mean, Aurelian will get there before me because I don't have a team.
Will you worship?
I actually interviewed the founder of the Raelians.
Of course you did, Geraldo.
And I have the videotape to prove it.
You interviewed him.
Oh, my God. Somebody cue
that in
the
Switzerland?
tape. Cue the
He was
tape.
Swiss, as I recall.
New one more thing for Geraldo.